totally green, and every tree that you can see in front of you there covered in a sort of verdant green color. I know it's almost impossible to think of, but that's what it will look like come, say, December or January. These elephants would be entirely invisible to us. We wouldn't be able to see them at all. And if they didn't want to be found, they'd go totally silent, and we wouldn't have any inkling that they were in here. While going through to the top there, Chandra, I think best bet is going to be to try and drive around them that way. I think if we go bashing through after them here, A, we're going to irritate them, and B, I think you're going to lose the signal. So we're going to just go back out that way and up towards the ridge crest and see if we can't get a better view from there. Best position in the world, everyone, but they are just not that easy, so I don't want to crunch too much around them. One's got a little attendant drongo, you can see. I don't know if you were with us earlier today, very early morning, when we had a couple of signal issues. I stopped, and what would normally have been passed off as a fork-tailed drongo didn't have a forked tail, and so very nice sighting of a black flycatcher, and that one you can very clearly see has got a forked tail and therefore is a fork-tailed drongo. That's the black thing in the picture, not the grey thing. The grey thing is of course an elephant. You might just be able to hear them breaking sticks around us. Lots of stick eating has to go on this time of the year. You happen to be an elephant. Youngster spending a little bit of time away from the herd, not too nervous anymore. But you'll notice as soon as we get too close, he will turn towards the herd, and if we carry on getting closer, he'll then move towards the herd in the comfort of the big cows. He's pretty safe, you know. You do get parts of the world or parts of Africa, where lions will specialize on killing elephants, and especially in the dry season in Botswana, in the Kalahari around the waterholes, and in Savuti, there are prides of lions that will specialize on especially getting hold of young elephants like that. But out here, pretty safe. Quite a lot of birds alarm calling suddenly. Few rattlings, the sticklers. It would be very nice to see a leopard just pop its head out of somewhere. I don't know that that's going to happen though. What do you think, Chandra? Any chance?
Always a chance.
I suppose that is true. There's always a chance. Hear the drongos calling. Beep, 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 beep. Bzz, bzz. An interesting question from Diana in northwest England as we listened to the birds. Diana, you want to know, do most of the birds stop calling when there's danger? Diana, quite the opposite. Out here, they normally start alarm calling. And the drongos have a various different kinds of alarm calls, and very experienced trackers will tell you exactly what they're alarm calling at. And one of my friends who lives just south of us here, at Londolozi, Renia Samhlongo, will tell you if a drongo is alarm calling at a leopard or at a bird or at a snake. I haven't got to that level yet. He did grow up in this area there, so hopefully one day I'll get there. But Diana, mostly what they do is that they will start to alarm call and warn each other. And that's... You do get a sense of, I know exactly what you mean, that kind of eerie sense of quiet where you think, ooh, what's going on here? You do get that sense sometimes when there's a predator around, but if birds see a predator, they will normally start to alarm call, and that's one of the ways that we find them. But certainly I know exactly what you mean, where you come into an area. Dogs, in fact, wild dogs create that kind of atmosphere. When they come through an area and they're on the hunt, you come through and it's kind of eerily quiet, and you think, well, what's gone on here? Nice question. But I think we'll try and wind our way a little bit through there and see if we can't get a slightly better view. Chandra, just as we go, you see that little tree with a bit of green on it? That is Cissus cornifolia, or the bushman's grape, aka horse's urine, if you happen to be Afrikaans. Interesting name. And as I explained earlier, it has that name because it smells like... What does it smell like, Chandra?
Horse urine.
Horse urine, correct. Well done. Sorry, we just hit a stick. No need to get upset. That's interesting, Chandra. Just flick around to the left, if you don't mind. That cow there, as soon as the youngster shouted, she turned, and she came to see that we weren't creating havoc. Now the youngster's eating again, but she's watching us very carefully. They're just not quite that comfortable. I don't know why. Interestingly, the first cow we saw, the first young cow, I think was actually this one, was streaming. You can still see she's streaming from her temporal glands, which just means that she's experiencing some kind of stress. I'm just going to try and gain her trust here, but we might have to move. Sorry, Mrs. Elephant. I don't mean to cause trouble. Just going to check on the baby. Heart rate roughly 180 beats per minute. Andre, just sit very still, please. Sit still. Isn't that wonderful? We're just going to sit here and be very quiet. I think she's okay with us now. She's just looking after the youngsters. It's extremely exciting when this happens. But you don't ever want to create a situation where you've infringed on them to the extent that they feel that they have to try and tell you to go away. And just driving over that stump is exactly what precipitated this situation, but it seems to be dissipating now. One big advantage being that we get some incredible close-up shots. Andre, what's your average heartbeat per minute at the moment?
220.
220. Okay, good. Interesting question, Marianne, on email. Do elephants get colic like your horses do, Marianne? I don't know. I do know that there was certainly an incident on WildEarth a little while back when there was an elephant who was around Gowrie Dam. Everyone thought she was very sick, and it turned out that she was very constipated. So she did have an issue in her stomach. Whether that could be defined as colic or not, I'm not sure. Elephants are hindgut fermenters, and that means that just like a horse, the digestion takes place in the hindgut. But I don't think they're particularly similar. So as I understand it, a horse gets colic because it cannot be sick, cannot vomit. I'm pretty sure elephants are the same. So maybe, Marianne, I don't think it causes anything like the same level of trouble that colic does. That was this female calling, just saying, almost giving it's okay. She gave a little rumble, and then she moved away. So she came up to us, when we broke a stump, the youngster started shouting, screaming, and then she turned and she came right up here. And then she watched us for about 5 minutes, and eventually she made a low rumbling sound, and she turned and walked away as if to say, it's all okay, they're all right. They're not going to do any harm. And you also saw there, of course, the temporal gland, which is that bit between the ears and the eyes that's streaming some kind of liquid. And that is an indication in elephants of some form of stress or excitement. It can be heat, it can be thirst, it can be hunger, it can be some bull that's come and chased through the herd and caused havoc. Could be pain, could be sickness, could be colic, Marianne. But it is an indicator of some kind of heightened stress. Now, she had that before we got here. And I suspect whatever has caused that is the reason that she and some of the others are not particularly comfortable at the moment. I'm not going to move the car just now because when I do, it's going to crack the stump again that we're on. So we're just going to sit here for a little bit longer and see what they do. I must say, while it is not nice to provoke a reaction like I did there, it is nice, or it's certainly very enlivening to have an elephant cow that close and that kind of, she's definitely saying to you, what do you want here? And to try and convince her through various means that you mean no harm is a very primal thing. It's very kind of raw and makes you feel extremely connected to the wilderness. And that's the main reason I'm out here. Just gets the heart rate going and makes you understand who's boss and who isn't out here. All the while, the drongos didn't have anything to say to us. They just carried on with their little squawks and squeaks and chirps. They tried to find something nice to eat around where the elephants are foraging. There she goes. She's feeling much better now. Here comes the sun. See, that's nice. The feeling of the sun on our faces. More relaxed, Andre? Marvelous experience, that. I think that youngster who shouted at us was the one that picked up the loo paper. That's maybe why she was so upset. Taking vengeance for our litter or polluting habits. There you can hear a woodpecker. Tuck, 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 tuck. I can actually see the dead tree. I can actually see the woodpecker. It's miles away from here. But it's on a dead tree with a hollow... Oh, can you see it, Chandra? Oh, you won't be able to get it here. With a hollow inside, and it's tapping away like a drum. Cool, eh? Probably starting to build a nest. So they've all got pretty calm now. They're all feeding around on this ridge crest where there's some combretum left. They're pulling out the roots of the combretum. They're eating bits and pieces of that horse urine tree, although some of them seem to be steadily avoiding them. They're eating last bits of grass and, of course, any kind of acacia tree that is up here is taking something of a hammering.